Hello and welcome back everyone to week 2 of this intro to HTML and JavaScript. Now, this week we're going to be learning about the buttons and text areas in HTML. So we're still not touching JavaScript quite yet, but we will be. So what we have here is I have something called layout. This is the tab for layout up here, but I copied and pasted the same thing over here. I brought layout over because, and I saved the layout thing, because this is the basic necessities that you need for your HTML file to run. And from there, we're going to build some. So last week, when I was giving you guys kind of the intro, this HTML file was just HTML, and it had an ending bracket there. Now, I want to bring you into language equals English US. I kind of want to bring that into you guys, because that is considered correct to put into code most of the time. If you talk to people who code frequently, they'll say put that in there. That is considered correct to make it part of your code. It'll run okay without it. But if you ever do write code for a web page and things like that, it's good practice to put in there. And then, like I said, with the meta char set, just don't worry too much about it. Just know that UTF-8 is a normal average character set. So, for this one, I'm going to remind you guys a little bit about what we talked about in the last video. We talked about paragraphs and headers. You can remember what those are. Paragraphs and headers go within the body statement, and a header looks like this. And then you have header 1, header 2, header 3, and so it's H1, H2, H3. Each one of those denotes how big your words are going to be. Headers are always in bold, so if you type a header in there and then you decide you want a slightly smaller one, you could do H3 or H2. H2 is going to be slightly bigger than H3. So as that number gets bigger, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's getting smaller and smaller text. I also taught you guys about paragraph. And always remember, you need your opening and closing. You need your opening and closing tags on this. And you have your paragraph. You can type whatever you want in there. That's just regular, everyday code. Now, along with the lines of paragraph, there is one other type of tag that you can use that'll give you regular code as well, and it's used quite frequently, and it is called div. Okay, looks like that. Opening and closing tag, and you can type whatever you want in there. You can type whatever. That's a div, and a div is just another word to describe text, just like a text field. So if you decide you want a text field that says something, you can write div, and you can write div, this is my name, and as you type that out, I use divs mostly for long paragraphs that contain a lot of information, or I use divs to help me pass information from JavaScript to HTML. They're very useful for that as well. And I'll show you that when the time comes for it, but for right now, you're not going to need that. The other things that you're going to need are within this body statement as well. And you're going to need to know about text areas. There are multiple ways to make text appear in HTML, or a text box, to make a text box appear if you want someone to input data. One of those ways is you can do text area. If you type text area like this, it'll just put up a blank text box, and it doesn't say anything on it. Imagine you have this text area, but you want to link the text area to something. You need a way to verify what text area this is. So there's something you can do, and it's called ID. And you say ID equals something, and you can type in your own little nickname for it. You can say like box1 or something. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it like, if someone has like questions on your webpage, you want to create like a questions box. If someone wants to submit suggestions to your page or something, so you could put like, oh, this is questions. That's ID questions. And we're going to name it. You can put another one in here. This one's called name, and this name feature, just gives the box a name. The ID is what you would use if you needed to link this text box to another thing. So for example, if you're in HTML and you need this text box to do something, so you want someone to enter something into this text box, and then you have them click a button and then have that do something. For that to be the case, you would need this ID so that you can draw the information from this box. And you can do multiple text areas. You could do another one like that, and you can make a new ID for that one as well. And then say like suggestions, and then I would also make it a name as well, just to, be clear and, clarify and all that. And what just happened? Oh, I see what happened. Whoops. Whoops, that's not supposed to happen. There we go. Suggestions, and then go out of it, and then say name equals, and then you could say like suggestions. And so these are your two text areas. Now, that's one way to do a text area. The way I generally do a text area in my typing of code would be something more like this. Would be input, and as I hit enter, it pops up type and name. I don't particularly use name when I'm using the input type very much. I use ID more than anything else. So you can use name, it's not that different. But I would come up here and I would say type, and this is where you type in what type of input you are looking for. You can say type text, and then that tells it that it's looking for a text box. You want there to be text in that box. So when you type in whatever you want into this text box, into this input, it will transfer whatever you typed in as characters, as text. And let me explain what I mean by that. You could just do an ID of Q, I guess, for questions. Yeah, if it was going to be questions, or you could type out the word questions. It doesn't matter. So say you have this text box right here, this one, just this one, and you ask someone to enter something. When the system receives it, it will receive it as characters. So if you typed in, my name is Billy Joe, it would put that in that text box. If you typed in 23, it would keep 23, but it wouldn't take it as a number. It would take it as characters, as like letters. So if you typed in numbers in this text box, it would consider those numbers as if they were just letters on the board. I mean, letters on the screen. So you couldn't add them together, for example. So if you wanted to type, like what's your birthday and your best friend's birthday, and try to add them together or something like that. And you made input type text, it would put up a text box. You could type something in, but if you added those two numbers together, it wouldn't come out mathematically correct. Okay, I can explain that a little bit more. So say you have two input boxes. So input type, and then you do a text box again, and ID A. Okay, we'll just do that. Q and A. Now imagine this first one, this first box. That's not how you do that. This first box, imagine you type in your age, like your age. And I don't feel like typing those arrows again, so I'm going to copy paste it over here. That's a comment, by the way. What I'm doing right now is called a comment, and this is how you do it in HTML. You use these two brackets, and then you put exclamation mark like that, and then the two dashes on either end. That creates a comment. And a comment just means that this program is not going to register it as code. It's going to register it as like nothing. It's just going to wave it on by and forget about it. These comments are used mainly for programmers to read, so they can read it inside code. And so that's what I'm doing here. So say this one is like a text box and is your age and your friend's age, and say you enter your age to be like 25, okay? And your friend's age is, make it easy, we'll say also 25. Both you and your friend are both 25 years old. And your program here, you write a program to say, take these two numbers and add them together. I put name, whoops, let me change that to ID. Okay, so say you have, you're here and you're like, okay, so my friend is, I'm 25, my friend's 25. Take Q and A and add them together. What the program would do in that instance is if it did both those things, it would then come back out and say something like this. Whoopsies. I can't type. All right, so it would end up printing something like this. It would say, okay, well, you're 25 and your friend is 25. Perfect. What does that equal? And it's going to sit here and go, I think that's 25, 25. So as a text box, as it does this, it will take in text as 25. and it'll add 25 and 25 together, meaning it'll just slap them together and put 25, 25. And it will do that always for your text if you do a text box. Now, to avoid that, if you wanted to put numbers in here, you would just simply type number. There's a couple ways you can do it, but this is one of the ways, and I would do it this way, number. And so you type in two numbers. Now, instead, it doesn't treat these as characters or letters. It suddenly goes, oh, those are numbers. I totally get it. And so then it will actually add them together and make 50 if you make it a number. So the type just tells the program what you want. It tells it what type of input you want. You want a number, you want a text, you want something else. So that's a very interesting part of that. And that way you can skip a lot of that whole transferring it to a number, which you can do. Throughout this course, I had watched people do that. They take an input type text, and then they later take that text and they write a piece of code that will switch it to a number instead. You can do that. It does work, but this is just simpler and a lot easier and a lot less code to write. So these are the things you need. We also have one more thing we need to talk about, which is a button. Button is very simple. As you do a button, you can do it just like this. And everything between these 2 points, if you write something, it'll say something on the button. So if you type in button, then your button that shows up is going to say the word button on it. If you put click me, it'll say click me on the button. And here's the fun part. You can have buttons do whatever you want. If you type things right where I have my cursor just now, right there, you can type in IDs and you can type in on clicks, and there's a bunch of other stuff, and we'll get into more of that later, but it'll do stuff for you. But for right now, make a button. That's how you do it, and that's how you put text on the button, is you type it in there in the middle. That will create a button for us, and it'll appear for us. That's all I'm really going to worry about. That's how you make a button. I'm not going to teach you too much more. I'm not going to jump more into more stuff yet. The assignment this week for the challenge that I'm going to give you guys has to do with all of this stuff. I'm going to give you 2 challenges really quick, and you can do those. Let me add a title real quick. Title. Let's actually name it something meaningful. Let's do a text box practice. So the challenge for this week, now that you know all these things and you know how these things work, is you need to create 2 files, okay? And I would save them both on your computer, and I would create a folder on your computer where you can put all these files. They don't take up much space. They take up like 1 or 2 gigabytes. And I'm gonna say 1 or 2 gigabytes. Like, they are small. They don't take up a lot of space at all. So create a folder somewhere on your desktop or in a file somewhere, I don't know, wherever you want. And call it, HTML and JavaScript, or call it programming practice, or whatever you want to call it. And save some files in there. And you're going to call these ones like I said, text box is going to be one of them. So you're going to create one program that's going to be a business file. So it's a business advertisement. I personally named mine business.html, which is totally fine if you want to name yours that. All you're doing is you're creating 2 paragraphs. You need 2 paragraphs. You need 1 header, and you need a title at the top of your thing, like one of these. And you can just even say just business if you want to. Or you can name your business and put it there in the title. So you need a title, at least 1 header, and at least 2 paragraphs. And you can make more than that if you'd like, but do that. And this needs to be an advertisement for a business that you want to make. So don't just describe a business that you'd like to have, or even if you have a business right now, you can write about that business, but write about a business advertisement. So you don't want to say like, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could. Write it down as if your business already exists and you're trying to draw people to it. For example, I used mine when I wrote my business file, my business.html. I wrote something like new parkour gym in town. And then I wrote in my that's my title. And then my header said something like similar. It was like new parkour gym in town. And then my I had 3 paragraphs actually. And my 3 paragraphs said something like about the coach. And then I wrote some lines about me, about how long I've been practicing parkour and how long I've been teaching it formally at a gym nearby. And then it said how to join class, and then I included like pricing information, even though I have no idea how much it costs. I threw some random numbers together and played around with it. But I wrote down how much it costs for each lesson or for a group of lessons. And then at the very bottom, I did something kind of fun. I don't believe it was required, but this can be part of your step up challenge if you would like, is I added a link to my YouTube channel if people wanted to check it out for my parkour YouTube channel. So that can be your challenge. There's a lot of places you can look to try to find out how to put a hyperlink reference, which is a little tidbit, a little tip right there, that it's called a hyperlink reference. And you can, plenty of places you can look that up, like W3 Schools is a pretty cool place to look up how to do like links to external places and what that all means. I threw that in there because I thought that was super fun that I could do that and all that. So look up that if you'd like, but make a business advertisement as if you were going to share it with the whole world, even though you're not going to, but do it as if you're going to share it with the whole world. And your second file, your second challenge of this week, your second file is, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it text box if you'd like or text box practice. I like to keep my HTML names, like the name of the actual file itself, really short because I don't like typing a whole bunch. So like you can call it text box or text or whatever. And then do something similar to what I've done here. But you want to create two text areas, two boxes that have their own unique ID. And these are the IDs, in case you just forgot for a minute. These two things are the IDs. Two unique IDs. You just need to have their own IDs. And just create two text box and a button. The button doesn't have to do anything, but just create a button. And yeah, make it look good, you know? And your step up challenge, I guess, could be, it's not too much of a step up, but if you wanted to do a step up on that one too, learn how to do a break. So if I ran this file, it would be text box after text box. So I would have 3 text box back to back to back. So from left to right, I'd be like text box, text box, text box. Oh, there's 4 text boxes because I forgot about these 2. So it's 4 text boxes from left to right slammed together, which is okay, it's fine. But try making the boxes on top of each other instead. So a text box here, a text box here, a text box here, a text box here. So make 4 from top to bottom instead of from left to right. That can be one of your goals, one of your things to learn how to do. My little tip is look up what breaks are in HTML. A break tag will tell you how to do that. But those are the 2 things for this week. Once again, if I'm off on my uploads and it's not on time with what CIT 160 is doing, if I release this video too late, then be sure to let me know in the comments and tell me exactly like what's going on this week, just so that I know how to help you guys by uploading on time. But my idea is to upload the Saturday before the weekend that these are due. So if they're due on Friday or Saturday, 1 week before that on Saturday, I want to have these uploaded, which is what I'm doing up to right now. But if that's wrong, and if you guys need me to upload it a little sooner or something, I can get it up for you guys. Just let me know about that. But make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, subscribe so you guys can come back next week and can do more of this stuff. But that's it for today. Yeah, just go head on those challenges and let me know how it goes. And if you guys need any questions, if you guys have any questions or need any help, I can do the best I can. But you can leave those down in the comments. But I will see you guys next week. All right, peace.